Do you know how long an average skeletal muscle cell lives? 15 years. Yep. So when you think this muscle memory is a real thing, red blood cells live an average of 115 days. So not even a third of the year, right? So you think this muscle memory is real. So it's like, all right, whatever happened in 2009, our muscle cells many of them were still alive then. And then as they die off, they send signals to the new cells. This is what watch out for this. Stay in this pattern. Boom. Do you have any daughters?
I do. Yep.
1 or 2?
1.
1. All right. So when your little girl was in your womb, whatever was happening to you, she has, her eggs inside of her.
Yes. I thought about that the day she was born, but go ahead.
Yeah. Imprinted upon her eggs is the energy and the trauma, or whatever is happening in your life, the stress, the joy, the peace, whatever, anxiety, whatever's happened maritally, it energetically leaves a little bit of an imprint. I did a session in private, MDMA session with a high performing leader last weekend in DC. This is 8 days ago. And she never felt loved by her mom growing up. And in the session, because she was connecting energetically and spiritually with her little baby self, but she also saw that her mom never felt loved by her mom. And then her mom never felt loved by her mom.
Yeah.
And so what she actually did, and this was a pretty wild experience, she went in and loved on and held the little girl version of herself, then her mom, then her grandmother, and healed some of that generational yearning for love and absence of love that they felt energetically with one another.
Wow. That's
so, yeah. And her nervous system has shifted.
Yeah.
Because the energy has shifted. Instead of being in a place of lack, now it's in a place of love and connection with her higher self, her God, her higher spiritual self that God has created, right? That goes beyond our physical bodies.
Yeah.
So I didn't create that. I can't do that for everyone.
Right.
But I created the access, and she was able to, step in and do that. And then what happens too, here's another crazy thing. All right. I have 2 clients right now that I'm dealing with on PTSD, both women. One is related to childbirth and all this stuff. Other one with some other issues. The first one, she's already done a session. We're going to do a second session to anchor it in and just solidify the last 20%. But her other friend, who just had a baby 9 months ago, already autoimmune disease, massive inflammation in her body. Her body is starting to shut down, right? And Alex, the other client, who's a big YouTuber and speaker and everything. So we reset her nervous system in a massive way after the first session, because she had really active PTSD where she was going to sleep at 7 o'clock at night. Her energy is just fading like crazy. She's in her late 30s, married less than a year, angry, can't think straight. All that started essentially getting fixed right after his session, because it was just her nervous system was stuck in this hypervigilance, and her amygdala kicks in. And what happens if your amygdala is in charge? It's in fight or flight.
Yeah.
You can't function.
24/7. So let me pause here. I want you to go back to MDMR. Am I saying that right?
MDMA.
MDMA.
Would be medicine, yeah.
Yes.
But there is EMDR as well.
That's okay. That's where I'm getting it mixed up. And the irony, it's so funny when you start to uncover one stone, it's like a million more get turned up.
Yeah.
I was just in Utah last week speaking with somebody that does a lot of work with a different substance. Is it ketamine?
Yeah, ketamine.
Yeah, ketamine.
Yeah.
I got in an hour-long conversation at a party about ketamine, and I was talking about you and our conversations as of late. So can you kind of 30,000 foot view, what are we talking about here with this process and this plant medicine, and what is it and all of that?
Yeah, so the medicines, we'll loosely categorize them as psychedelics, even though MDMA doesn't technically, it's classified more as an empathogen than a true psychedelic. But ketamine, MDMA, psilocybin, which are the magic mushrooms that we commonly think of, or shrooms, and then LSD, ibogaine, which is really effective for addiction, vastly more effective for alcoholics or narcotic addiction, any chemical addiction than typical treatment centers. So they're all classified loosely as psychedelics, and they give you two major windows, and they each have different lasting effects, okay, in terms of the length of time. But the two major windows, the acute subjective experience, which is where your nervous system is more open than, I would say, as far as I can tell, any known time in human history, in your lifetime, meaning that it is open to be reprogrammed. That's why in that 3 to 6 hour window, I have a session Thursday. 3 to 6 hour window, I'm going to help her heal years worth of trauma. And that we won't get through everything because she's got so much, this particular client, but we're going to basically create a massive reset and do 2 to 5 years worth of therapy in that single session.
And how do you do that? Is it questions? Yep. Is it taking them through a guided process? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the medicine creates the opening. But if you just do the medicine, like you go to a ketamine clinic or you take some shrooms and you don't have someone that knows what they're doing, right, guiding you, you can actually potentially have a bad experience. It's not, especially early first timers, do not do this on your own, and make sure you're with trained guides that know what the heck they're doing and that you get the right dosage and it's the right medicine for you, all that. But let's say everything's right medicine, right set and setting, you're in a good headspace, you don't have any contraindicating medications that you're taking like SSRIs or you've tapered them down or whatever. Well, we go in and then the medicine creates this opening in your nervous system. And the MDMA is my preferred one for a lot of the work because you're basically guaranteed to have a good experience. The MDMA floods your body with a feeling of safety. So literally your body feels safe. So that's the first thing. Then you often feel love and empathy and oftentimes joy, especially as you work through some of the hard stuff. But the safety now, because your nervous system feels safe, every single time someone will walk in, we have 3 or 4 things we're aware of, and then several new things pop up. We often don't even get to the 3 or 4 things, all of them, because these other 2 or 3 things were actually big things that your body was too overwhelmed by, that it was like, I'm just going to bury that. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah. Wow.
And you have safety, and then your body's like, whoop, let's get rid of this. There's an opening. And then I'll go in. I'm really guiding you to do the healing. And so what I'll do is, like, if you're in a session, then I'm going to say, Moira, all right, what's coming up in your body? What is the pain or the overwhelming memory or the suffering or the moment where you're really scared that your body would like to release today? And it's been running in the background for 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, right? For some of us, you're not 50, but however long, right? It just depends on, I've done clients that are as old as 60, right? And then we'll release it. We'll acknowledge it. I'll see you. Let's say it's your little 3-year-old self. You invite that 3-year-old self to crawl up into your lap or sit next to you on a couch, and you'll listen to her. And you'll let her share her feelings and acknowledge where she was overwhelmed and where she was scared. And then so you want to let her vent and get her feelings out. You don't want to, because she's been buried and suppressed. And then you want to hold her in safe space, validate those feelings, and then love on her, and then remind her, ultimately inner child work I'll guide to, like, thank her for how she's tried to serve you, so she feels acknowledged and seen, and then ask her, you know what, it's time for another part of you to lead. And I'll kind of do a little visualization where you'll see this little 3-year-old self driving the car of your life, and the car represents your life. She's driving, and then you ask her, you're in the passenger seat, so your higher self, because it's parts therapy or IFS, so we'll pull over to the side of the road, and you invite that little 3-year-old self, hop in the back seat, because she can rest now. She no longer has to drive your life.
Wow.